Lately, Boeing has been getting a lot of negative attention in the aviation industry. Once known for making safe and reliable airplanes, the company is now linked to emergency landings and even deadly accidents. People are asking whether these issues point to deeper problems at Boeing, or if other factors are at play. Let's look at some of the major Boeing-related incidents. Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 incident. Alaska Airlines Flight 1282, a Boeing 737-9 MAX, took off from Portland International Airport. Soon after reaching 16,000 feet, passengers heard a loud bang. A door panel, which covered an unused emergency exit, suddenly blew off the side of the plane. This caused a sudden loss of air pressure in the cabin. Oxygen masks dropped down, and loose items were sucked out. The pilots quickly brought the plane down to 10,000 feet to stabilize the air pressure. The pilots calmly informed air traffic control and returned the plane to Portland for an emergency landing. Thanks to their quick actions, a major disaster was avoided. Although 7 passengers and 1 crew member had minor injuries, everyone survived. The problem was traced back to a plug door that failed. This door is supposed to stay sealed during flight, but it likely came loose due to stress and faulty mechanical latches. This incident put the 737 MAX back in the news, an aircraft that already had a troubled past with 2 deadly crashes. Atlas Air Freighter Emergency. An Atlas Air 747 cargo plane took off from Miami, heading to Puerto Rico. Just moments after takeoff, there was an explosion in the left engine, lighting up the night sky. The 5 crew members immediately declared an emergency. People on the ground saw fire and sparks coming from the engine. Inside the cockpit, the pilots quickly shut down the damaged engine and used the fire suppression system. The fire warning turned off, but the engine was badly damaged. The pilots leveled the aircraft at 3,000 feet and turned back toward Miami. 15 minutes after takeoff, the plane landed safely on runway 09. Emergency teams checked the plane and found no need for immediate action. Later inspections showed the cause. A small but critical part called a borescope plug hadn't been properly secured during maintenance just 4 days before. Because of this mistake, hot gases escaped and damaged the engine's thrust reverser. The heat even burned a hole the size of a softball in the engine covering. Thanks to the pilot's skill and the aircraft's design, they avoided disaster. The plane was taken out of service for repairs. United Airlines tire incident. Another Boeing-related incident happened, this time involving United Airlines. On March 7th, Flight 35, a Boeing 777, took off from San Francisco, heading to Osaka, Japan. Just seconds after takeoff, a 256-pound tire came off the plane and fell into the airport parking lot. It broke through a fence, damaged several cars, and smashed the back window of one vehicle. Luckily, no one was hurt. The pilot stayed calm and continued to climb, while checking to make sure the aircraft was still flying safely. The Boeing 777 is built to handle losing a tire without it being immediately dangerous. Still, the pilots were cautious and contacted air traffic control. They decided to land at Los Angeles International Airport, which had better emergency services. Fire trucks were ready along the runway, but the plane landed smoothly without any issues. Even with the missing tire, the landing gear held up well. Later investigations suggested that the tire came off due to maintenance mistakes. During a previous inspection, the wheel might not have been properly secured. United Airlines sent a different Boeing 777 to take the passengers to Japan and promised to work closely with investigators to find out exactly what went wrong and make sure it doesn't happen again. KLM Flight Emergency. KLM Flight 1074, a Boeing 737 flying from Manchester to Amsterdam, had to abort its landing just 500 feet above the ground. The plane's flaps, which helped slow it down, stopped working properly. The pilots climbed back to 3,000 feet to assess the issue, but the faulty flaps caused the plane to burn fuel quickly. Within 20 minutes, the pilots declared a fuel emergency, saying they had only 30 minutes of fuel left. Thankfully, after troubleshooting, the flaps began working again. The plane landed safely on runway 27, with emergency crews on standby. All 128 passengers were unharmed. Investigators found the problem was caused by flap overspeed and wind shear during the first landing attempt. The plane was inspected and returned to service later that day. FedEx Flight 6238. On May 8th, FedEx Flight 6238, a Boeing 767-300 cargo plane, was preparing to land in Istanbul when a warning showed the nose gear hadn't deployed. The pilots aborted the landing and circled for 30 minutes trying to fix the problem, but the nose gear remained stuck. To confirm the issue, they flew low past the control tower, and it was clear the front gear wasn't down. The crew had no choice but to make a belly landing. At 8:17 a.m., the pilots landed the plane smoothly on its rear wheels, then gently lowered the nose to the runway. Sparks flew, but the landing was safe. No one was hurt. The problem was traced to a failure in the nose gear's locking mechanism, likely due to maintenance or operational issues, not a design flaw. Singapore Airlines Flight 321, severe turbulence. Just weeks later, Singapore Airlines Flight 321, a Boeing 777 flying from London to Singapore, hit sudden and violent turbulence over Myanmar. The plane dropped sharply, throwing unbelted passengers and objects into the air. One person died from a heart attack, and over 100 were injured. The pilots quickly stabilized the plane and diverted to Bangkok, where emergency crews treated the injured. The turbulence was caused by storm-related updrafts, not pilot error. While the seatbelt sign was reportedly on, not all passengers may have been warned. Meal service was also underway, which is uncommon during expected turbulence. Southwest Airlines Flight 746, Dutch roll dot, a Boeing 737, MAX 8, flying from Phoenix to Oakland, began shaking mid-flight due to a rare Dutch roll, a side-to-side and rolling motion. The system meant to stop this motion, the yaw damper, had failed. The pilots didn't realize the full damage until landing, when major issues were found in the tail section. Investigators are now working to understand why the system failed. Total cargo flight 5682, cargo fire, a Boeing 737 freighter from Vitória to São Paulo, had a cargo fire mid-flight. The pilots declared an emergency and landed safely, but communication was lost during descent. Fire crews responded quickly, and the pilots escaped using cockpit ropes. The plane was badly damaged and later declared a total loss. Cargo jet Flight 2387, runway overrun. During a stormy landing in Vancouver, a cargo jet Boeing 767 couldn't stop in time and slid off the end of the runway. No one was hurt, but the nose gear and lower fuselage were damaged. Rain, tailwind, and possible flap issues likely contributed to the overrun. Swift Air crash, Lithuania. A Swift Air Boeing 737 cargo jet crashed near Vilnius Airport after the crew reported an emergency. The plane descended steeply and crashed in a residential area. One crew member died, 3 were injured. The cause is still under investigation, and flight recorders are being analyzed. Jeju Air crash, South Korea. A Jeju Air Boeing 737 crashed while trying to land at Muan Airport, killing 179 of the 181 people on board. After a possible bird strike, the crew attempted to land without flaps or landing gear. The plane landed too fast and overran the runway, hitting a concrete structure. The crash is South Korea's deadliest in decades. Investigators are trying to figure out why the aircraft systems failed. While Boeing is under scrutiny, not all incidents are its fault. Still, these cases raise serious concerns about safety oversight and aircraft reliability. That's all for the video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more such videos.